Hello and welcome to Wine List Legends. I'm Harry Crowther, founder at Grain to Grape, and I am here with a very good friend of mine, Ben Porter. Give us a wave, Ben.
How you doing?
How's it going, buddy? Ben
good,
works out of Harbour House, which is an awesome site in Bristol, and we're just going to have a quick chat about his awesome wine list. So, Ben, how's it going, brother?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Yeah, reopening. Crazy, but nice to be back. Nice to be back. It's for sure.
Absolutely, I can appreciate that. And actually, the one and only time I visited you was, which seemed like an age ago, was at the beginning of the pandemic, a couple of days before the shit hit the fan, I suppose. So what I do remember is you gave, I can't remember which wine it was, but you gave me a fantastic British still wine, and it was really good. And I know obviously you are from a winey background, given what we've done in the past on some really fun projects. So what I'd love you to do is just talk to me a little bit about how important having a good wine list and a good offering is to the success of Harbour House.
Well, it's definitely, I mean, wine is, at the end of the day, guests come out for food and drinks, isn't it? I mean, in our place especially, like, we're such a grand restaurant now in terms of like space covering. So we have to kind of try to appeal to every demographic we can, but still, like, for me, it's kind of, it's still keeping that interest for aficionados. We do a lot of events here. We do a lot of kind of date nights, kind of, we brand Harbour House as like a venue for every occasion. So it's one of those ones where a hen do can come in, the ladies can, smash a few bottles of Prosecco, or, a few cocktails and a few bottles of Pinot Grigio. But then you have, you kind of say your date night. So you want something a bit interesting, something to chat about. So yeah, wine is super important in terms of that. So the balance is key, I think, in terms of a wine list for us. It is having that quality at good price, which I think sometimes you can lack in certain places, which is what I kind of strive to. It's like, I always, when it comes to wine, it's always look at the house wine first, because it's going to be it's a very important list, a very important listing. So you want something which is going to sell, but you don't want it to oversell the others. You get what I mean? So you kind of don't want, personally, I don't want something like a Pinot Grigio down at your house wine, because it's just going to be a blocker.
It's just going to cannibalize it, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. So everyone's just going for that. So something, something Italian, Northern Italian, Pinot Bianco, Trebbiano, something like that is perfect in that place. Ban de France, along those lines, something with a bit of quirkiness to it, which is always going to be there. It's going to be simple, it's going to be easy, but then you've got those others 2 or 3 bottles above, like your good quality Pinots, your good quality Malbecs, your of the world, your Sauvignon Blancs, something which is always going to sell. And for me, I always need on the list, but something which is specifically sourced appropriately. Like, go to plenty of restaurants and you see a Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand, for example, which is it's a key line, which is just bog standard, cat pea, elderflower in a bottle, which is nothing of any interest, But when you get something 30 quid a bottle or something like that, this is sourced, got a good producer, guys you're getting it from is really kind of carefully selecting it properly. So, I think those key lines need to be in key places. So those blockers is just pointless having them on. But yeah, I still balance it out with kind of a lot of interest as well. I love wines from Greece, trying to champion a lot of British wines as well, especially like going forward with Harbour House. We're trying to, and it's a bold move, but we're trying to get rid of any champagne and just go full English fizz.
Nice.
Which is a key one for me. I've tried so many good ones. I mean, especially around the Southwest in general, there's a lot of very good producers around here.
Yeah.
Price,
absolutely.
I mean, price-wise as well, you're looking competitive. I mean, I think the days of getting rid of Prosecco or your house sparkling still got a few years yet before we can look to kind of delete those. But still, I think, especially in this, like, going into this new normal or this new world that we're facing with the pandemic, I think trying to support local produce for food and wine is key. Like, giving them our produce, post Brexit, whatever, giving them our funds, like, because as a lot of us know in the wine industry, English wine, the fizz, is cracking. They've won awards. There's all sorts. There's so many good producers out there now. And it's just trying to showcase in the best way we can. And I think, going forward for us, especially being on the harbour side, you know, we serve a lot of fish here. You know, it's a match made in heaven, really. You know, polar mussels, classic English fish, you can't go wrong, you know. So
I mean, I love that, and you've touched on so many points. You've actually covered my next question. What's your wine list philosophy, and how do you go about it? So I'm just going to revisit a couple of those main things that stick out with me and that resonate with me. The first one being is potentially premiumizing those like volume wines. So maybe you mentioned a Malbec, you mentioned your Pinot Grigio, and
exactly,
you know, having a Pinot Grigio as a house wine is kind of wine list suicide, in my opinion. You know,
definitely. Totally agree.
You're devaluing the brand of the Pinot Grigio, likewise you would be with a Malbec or something or whatever. And you're just telling your customers to only spend money in that part of the list, really. So I love that, and I think that the house wine, you know, like you mentioned, is a great opportunity to get people to try new stuff and to spread. So that philosophy,
I mean,
yeah,
I speak to my suppliers a lot in terms of kind of these, you know, the house lines. You know, even the first two on the list or something, you know, they're always quite interesting for me. You know, the minute we stock a Macedonian selection, like as our kind of almost like third entry. Okay. You know, it's about 23 £23 a bottle or something we sell it at, you know. But the Macedonians are basically like a Riesling, you know, it's kind of Vermentino style. It's amazing. And we do a red, which is like a Zinfandel, which they sell. Like once you tell them a bit about it, you know, because it's a punt a guest doesn't mind taking. £23 a bottle, they're thinking, oh, this might, you know, okay, yeah, it's a country I've never really tried before, but it's like, all right, let's give it a go, see what it's like, and then they're tasting it, like, oh wow, this is pretty good, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a low risk investment, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, a bottle of wine that you don't know is a risk, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that I love that, and it speaks to me in terms of getting people to try new things and just keeping the list nice and fresh. You know, we can all be experimental on 50 quid bottles, that's great, but actually, you know, bringing it in at the volume end is awesome.
Also, I mean, seasonality for wine, I think, is something which gets lost a bit as well. You know, you go to a lot of places and there's lists which, you know, probably change maybe once a year or something. But I think seasonality in wine is, you know, it's very, you know, we all know, like we'll all at home, we'll all drink something when it's cold. We'll drink, a lot of people will edge towards like a Cabernet Sauvignon or something because it's hearty, it's warming, you know. Whereas in the summer, we know a lot of people want a pale, dry, fresh, crisp rosé, you know, when it's hot. So I think, you know, for me, like trying to change it at least twice a year, you know, you kind of go into spring, summer, you know, autumn, winter style wines. You know, some of those lines will stay there for the whole year because, you know, they sit well, they sell well. So it's kind of like, you know, they're a good all-round year of drinking wine. But I'll always have a few more like Southern French style rosés on in the summertime because, you know, you'll have a group of girls who want, you know, that kind of freshness. And in the winter, you'll always, you know, you'll have more of those kind of heartier, stick to your ribs style of wines. It kind of tells with the food, you know. It's like when the food menu decides to change, we kind of think, all right, what wines are we going to do with these new dishes as well, you know? So,
absolutely, and also big bombshell there of what you just said is, of course, getting rid of champagne and going all English.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's now the right time for that? I think, you know, you're saying Brexit, keeping it local, you know, obviously COVID as well, reduced travel, more staycations, and just investing in, you know, local wine industry, local food industry, so on and so forth. Do you see it now as an opportunity to kind of just turn the volume up with English wine a bit then for the wine lists?
Definitely, man. I think so. Definitely. I think, you know, obviously it's not a case of, I don't think we're ready to exploit a full English list. You know, that we're far from that, you know, but the wine industry itself in the UK, you know, Wine GB and stuff, it's, you know, it's progressively getting bigger and bigger. You know, there's a lot more headway. Really? There's plenty of, you know, like I said before, there's plenty of, especially sparkling wine producers. You know, there's so many out there, small, large, getting recognised getting recognised overseas. So for me, I think it's definitely the right time to give them an opportunity. And you know, we've had it's not been any, I won't say backlash. I don't think there's been anyone who's really noticed kind of not having any champagne on there. And in all honesty, I think a lot of our guests are embracing that we've got local producers on there. I mean, for me, it's more just having like an extra box on the list of saying, you know, Wine GB, you know, 3 or 4 sparkles, you know, 2 or 3 whites, you know, couple of reds, whatever you can get hold of in terms of reds. Just having that there and almost doing it as like a monthly kind of, just pushing it as much as you can.
Yeah.
I think if what we've got what we've got as well on our doorstep is that we can go visit these guys, because a lot of them are just down the road as well. You can kind of get good relationships with them, especially some of my local ones. They're literally half an hour down the road from us, so you can kind of that okay, they'll be happy to come down and do a tasting. They'll be happy to come down and you're happy to send us all down to the vineyard and stuff. When it's all safe to do so, etc., etc. So
sure.
I just think we need to. I think it's say in the post-Brexit world and everything. I think keeping carbon footprint down, etc., etc. And why not? If the product's good, why not use it?
Yeah, it's not just because it's the best of a bad bunch, is it?
No.
The juice is good. It speaks for itself.
Yeah.
So pushing English wine, pushing the more quirky, sort of esoteric wines, potentially at the house end. How do you go about, obviously, you're great with the guests and whatnot, but how do you go about training the team to communicate that with guests as well? Like you said earlier, as long as you've got these Macedonian wines, but as long as someone can be told or advised, well, if you like X, you'll like this. I mean, how do you go about that with the team?
Exactly. So we tend to use a lot of my suppliers, which is good for that. Our kind of reps come down and be happily, because as much as I'd love to do it all the time, I just don't have the time to do it.
Fair enough.
During service and kind of pre-service, I'm there. As soon as there's a new wine comes in, we taste it. We do a little, whoever's on that shift that day, again, throughout the week, we'll taste it. WhatsApp as well is always a good tool for this. Take a photo, giving people again, with our suppliers, a lot of them have very good spec PDF sheets on their website, especially Hallgarten. Hallgarten.
How good are Hallgarten spec sheets?
Oh man, they're brilliant. They're brilliant.
So good.
I look at them and I'm like, God, this is there's a lot of depth for me, I'm like kind of thinking,
that's a couple of full-time jobs right there, just to maintain those.
It's mental, like Hallgarten spec sheets, unbelievable. So I tend to use them. They'll come down and do probably a monthly tasting. If we know we're changing the list a lot, they'll do one, and then we'll kind of just do like a refresher probably every month or two, every quarter. So especially for like new staff as well. Going forward, we're going to assign like a couple of people per shift, kind of just be almost like your sommelier-esque, almost just like wine waiters, who can kind of like, and there's always a nice challenge, which I've always done in the past, is like, okay, choose 3 wines or choose 4 wines, choose 2 whites or 3 whites, 3 reds. This is what you're going to sell today. One kind of this end, one middle range, one high end.
Love that.
Take these, here's some background of it, do a bit of research, but this is what you're going to sell to everyone. Just you don't need to know everything about everything. Just change it daily. Come in, right? I'm going to sell these 3 wines today.
That's it. Yeah, and then I guess you do that 6 months time. You've got someone that knows the wine list top to bottom.
Well, exactly. This is it. And if you've got a wine list of say 60 bins or whatever, which is probably about us, and by the time they've done that, 2 or 3 weeks, they've kind of gone through it all, like you say. So
absolutely, mate. Nice. No, I love that, and I like that. Training up these sort of ambassadors within the company to carry that message forward is really important, because actually for me, I think that's an interesting way of seeing if we can bring more people into the wine game. And if they do well and if they overachieve in that role, then it's like, okay, well, actually, maybe this person needs to be nurtured as a potential career path into the wine trade, which I think is exciting.
And it's great because a lot of our guys have got a bit of hospitality experience, but not much kind of drinks there. So it's nice. Sometimes it's nice to start with novices, and because then they have more of a personal connection with it. Because they don't know anything about the grapes, they don't know anything about this. They're tasting it and they're going, okay, right, what do you taste? And as we know, like it's such a personal subject. There's no right or wrong answers, really. I mean, it's kind of like, right, this is what you taste. Go for it. That's what you think. I can give you all the specs, the background about producers and stuff. But at the end of the day, a lot of guests don't need to know about the mumbo jumbo, about what soil type this is growing on and what kind of cordon this vine's been. No. They want to know what it tastes like and if it's going to go good with their food.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, dude. So you say 60 bin list, favorite wine, or?
Well, I mean, at the minute it's a tough one, really, because we're kind of, so at the minute we're giving up to a 60 bin list. Like pre-lockdowns, we had 60 bins. At the minute, we're probably working around about 20 just to kind of ease ourselves in a bit gently, But at the minute, I'm just looking at my wines now.
It doesn't necessarily have to be your favorite. Maybe just like a wine that you think performing
honest,
really well, you know.
We've sold a lot of Aldwick Estate, like a Save Salute, so it's Save Blanc sparkling wine from Bristol.
Wicked.
It's just outside Bristol, so it's kind of in between. It's like near Thornbury way, which is epic. You know, they basically made it as a kind of like, they call it Save Salute, as like almost like a salute to the NHS, which is quite a nice thing. But yeah, 100% Save Blanc, you know, made in the traditional way, you know, traditional champagne methods. You know, for me, that's, you know, it's just a perfect crisp sparkling wine. Wicked. But also got a lovely Merlot Syrah blend from south of France, which is kind of a very elegant style Merlot. So I think for this time of year, absolutely perfect. You know, it's kind of got that lovely Merlot characteristic, but has that bit of sharpness, that kind of like almost spice that comes in from the Syrah. You know, so it really blends well together. It's something which I've never really had before, Merlot Syrah blend. So
I don't think I've ever tried that.
No, but that's from Yak Brothers, and yeah, it's
nice,
amazing.
Nice.
Terrasses from Ardèche way. So yeah, cool. They're cracking. It's kind of my tipple after work. So.
nice. Listen, mate. Let's wrap this up. I am down in Bristol soonish through the summer. I'm actually down for a wedding, so I will be popping in. And
nice, yeah.
To anyone watching, please visit Ben at Harbour House. I have been there before. The wine list is great. Ben is a total legend, and the views are insane. So yeah, please get yourselves down there. Ben, it's been an absolute pleasure. I appreciate it's balls to the wall right now. So thanks for your time. And
mate, pleasure always great to chat.
And we will chat very soon, bro.
Yeah, cheers. Awesome.
Cheers, man. Thank you so much.